Till a couple of decades ago, major iron and steel industries would drive the regional economy and contribute to India's GDP. But we are in the age of megafactories now. Megafactories are characterized by their massive scale and high production capacity, and of course, play a pivotal role in driving economic growth of the region. China's success in this area has been unprecedented, catapulting the nation to the forefront of global manufacturing. But India is also catching up. After COVID, most Western countries are adopting China Plus One strategy, seeking alternative manufacturing sources as backups to China. Herein, India emerges as a key beneficiary, capitalizing on its unique advantages. While countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Mexico are vying to be the plus one destinations, India stands out due to the government's commitment to a business friendly atmosphere. This is evident from Apple scaling up iPhone manufacturing in India, showcasing India's potential to become a major manufacturing hub for MNCs. And it's not just mobile phones. India's manufacturing is also taking strides in the electric vehicle segment. With the announcement of gigafactories for production of lithium-ion batteries in India by Reliance and Adani Enterprises, tell the tale of India's expanding manufacturing prowess. According to analytics firm Counterpoint Research, India made the biggest gains in electronics, where exports have tripled since 2018 to $23 billion in the year through March. For producing 9% of the world's smartphone handsets in 2016, the country is projected to raise it to 19% this year. But the country's aspiration to replicate and exceed China's success faces a volume challenge. While the number of manufacturing factories in India has grown by more than 50% from 2010 to 2020, reaching nearly 2.5 lakhs, it still lags behind China, which has approximately 2.8 million manufacturing plants. The number of factories in India has grown since the last available data, but the massive gap appears difficult to bridge in the near to medium term.
I think the one thing that many people would agree we lack at the moment is people productivity. So while our wages today, if you look at minimum wages in most states, we are probably one-fifth of China. We are probably a little lesser than even Vietnam. And yet we are not able to drive the kind of scale that we should be able to drive at this stage. And that has to do with our manufacturing ecosystem. And I'll break that up into two parts very quickly. One is taking care of our workers. Do they have a clean place to stay in, or are they staying in slums? The conditions are not hygienic. Power supply is not 24 hours. So, dengue season, malaria season, he will be infected. There are areas where he has problems with food, the quality of food that he gets. China solved all that by putting these workers in the factory premises. Now, while that in India may not be a good idea, and plus we don't have it at the moment, we don't have the infrastructure. Even the existing industrial areas have a lot of vacant land. And I've always argued a simple policy that allows these vacant industrial plots to be converted into hostels as a business, with some code on making sure that these hostels are run well. And that will be a good starting point.
Mega factories demand a workforce with advanced technical skills, but the shortage of skilled labor in India has been a critical bottleneck to this end. While China has long outdone India by developing a skilled labor force available on relatively low wages, India has seen incremental progress on that front in recent years as well. According to the India Skill Report 2023, overall employability among young Indians increased from 46.2% last year to 50.3% this year. The employable women workforce has risen to 52.8%, surpassing the employability rate of men at 47.2%.
So if you look at skilled labor, right, one of the key issues is from a labor perspective. I mean, it's one thing to have cheap labor. The second is to have labor that is skilled and, or, at least capable of being skilled and being trained. I think that's the biggest issue that you have from an India perspective. You have enough people, but the employability is a question mark, which is why the whole effort of the government is to make them more skilled and be available and employment ready. I think that's the first part.
India's skill development landscape has also undergone policy reforms. The number of industrial training institutes, or it is, dedicated to skill training, surged from 10,119 in 2014 to 14,740 in 2022, marking a 45.67% growth. Operational since 2015, 33 national skill training institutes include 19 for women. Capital expenditure poses another significant challenge. The initial investment required for mega factories is colossal, and securing funds can be an uphill task. So, how can these gaps be bridged?
Access to the credit and the amount of credit is because the sectors that I have met, they all have saying that don't give us this, don't give us that, but give us the access to credit because that is the interest rates are very high. And on that, many of the industry groups are asking for subvention from the government. So that's a very clear ask. Is the PLI scheme. PLI scheme has been I think the government allocated about 1,97,000 crores for the PLI. But so far, the total payout from the scheme has been about 4 to 5,000 crores. So it has been somewhat stringent. Labor sector reforms. Government brought the labor codes, but for some reason it is stopped in gazetting the issuing the rules. I think they need to issue the rules.
When you compare ourselves with China, and they have industrial clusters. When the industrial clusters are prepared, it helps in reduction of cost, it helps in reduction of raw material cost. It is the ease of doing business. I think that is something which is very important. Land requirements. Now, if you look at it, the large contiguous piece of land is not easy in India to be acquired, and that also creates a bit of a challenge for large manufacturing units to be set up as compared to easier land acquisition laws in our neighboring country like China. The enforceability of contract, I think the exit and entry part from an exchange control law is also one of the factors.
Establishing mega factories and catching up with China is a tall order for India, but the country is making headway slowly. The key to realizing India's mega factory dreams depend on favorable policies, strategic support, and skilled workforce.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
He's making plans for an early retirement. Business Standard.